Heyo, it's me, Ryan. You've made it this far into the series, you know who I am. I'm that guy trying to raise awareness for stuff, mental health, through sharing people's stories. Well, so this is book 13 of the library presented by Classic Buffalo. We're interviewing my buddy, Brett, who's live in Atlanta, sort of northern Atlanta, but he's probably the youngest person we've interviewed. He's 17, and he's already done a few cool things, and he's got a huge passion for streetwear and fashion. So I think you'll enjoy it, hearing a guy's passion for clothes and his hopes. So without further ado, let's get into it. I think you'll enjoy it. Good morning, Mr. Brett. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man. You're joining us live from Roswell, but Roswell being in obviously Area 51, right? Were you storming? Were you storming the Area 51 yesterday?
I was watching on the live stream. I was surprised with the amount of people that actually came out. It was pretty cool.
But yeah, for real, you're in Roswell, kind of northern Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Man, do you consider it the dirty South?
Where I am right now, no. There's definitely about maybe 40 minutes out from me.
Yeah.
It's you get into the dirty South, once you reach the Macon area and lower. But for the most part, we're in a pretty not dirty South area.
You don't have any rappers?
We do have rappers, but they're all like SoundCloud rappers. So
okay, man.
Yeah. Well, actually, so Russ actually went to the high school that's closest to me.
Oh, Russ, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of my friends are they know him and they're good friends with him. So he's kind of our pride and joy of the rap community of Roswell, Georgia.
Are you into rap at all, or what kind of music are you into?
So I love rap and I love classic rock.
Okay. So is Tupac bigger, or not Tupac bigger? Who's better, Tupac or Biggie?
I personally like Biggie more, just because I'm more of a New York hip hop head. Mm-hmm. But I can't deny that I don't dislike Tupac. So if someone throws on either Tupac or Biggie, I'm not going to complain either way.
Yeah. I've always been like Biggie was a bigger. Which one am I doing? Oh yeah, Biggie is a better lyricist, I felt like, but Tupac was a bigger icon.
Yeah, I can agree, especially vintage snapback wise. Tupac's the way to go. But
Yeah. Gosh, so I watched. Have you ever seen Poetic Justice?
I have not. No.
Dude, so I was like, because what's his face? Kendrick has a song called Poetic Justice. And so I wasn't sure if that was about that, but I've always heard, because it was Janet Jackson and Tupac, about a girl named Justice, which is Janet Jackson. And then she writes poetry, but then Tupac's like a mailman. And it's about kind of gang life and stuff. It's actually pretty good, but
that's cool.
Yeah, he was wearing a vintage Chicago White Sox snapback. So. Oh,
cool. So the blockhead probably.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
If there's any memes, I think, of Tupac, it's probably that one. I can't remember what it is, but it's him talking to Justice in the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've definitely seen pictures from that movie then.
Dang it. Man, I've just been coughing, so I kind of cut out.
It's all good.
What are some of your favorite 90s movies that you've seen?
I love White Man Can't Jump.
Okay. I got to see that one.
It's such a good movie. Space Jam, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I like Back to the Future. And I mean, for the most part, I haven't seen too many more 90s movies past that.
Yeah.
I'm more of the early 2000s and then mid 2000s comedies Anchorman and, those kind of stuff. So,
yeah, that makes sense. When were you born?
I was born in 2002.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still a senior in high school.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Man,
yeah.
2002. That's gosh. Yeah, I'm a 93 kid, so it's weird. Yeah, because it's whenever you were born, you kind of grow up in the next decade, basically. Kind of. Because, I mean, it's I'm 7 and it's 2000. So it's for the most part, growing up in the early 2000s. So I'm technically a 90s kid, but, my brother's probably more of a 90s kid because he was 84.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's different.
He got to experience the 90s as a growing kid while you were still young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So interesting. Yeah, I got to see White Man Can't Jump. Well, have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh yeah, yes I
Okay.
have.
Yeah,
I've
that's a
also
good one.
seen Groundhog Day.
I got to see that one.
Yeah, fantastic movie.
Is Woody Harrelson in, am I thinking all right? The white guy in White Man Can't Jump?
Yes, he's also in Above the Rim, which I've also seen.
Okay, I got to see that.
Tupac is in Above the Rim, I think.
Oh, really? What's that one about?
It's about street basketball, and I think it's about street basketball and kind of just like, and in a sense, kind of like gang life in New York. So it's like how like those two kind of balance out.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about New York a little bit.
Yeah, for
because, were you are you like born and raised Georgia, but what's your connection to New York, or did you ever like live in New York? Because I know you visited a couple of times. You have a Mets jersey, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Georgia. I'm technically like raised a Southern boy, but my family is from Connecticut, and my dad went to NYU. So New York is kind of in my blood in a sense. So I think my first time that I visited about 4 or 5 years ago, I just immediately fell in love with it, as cliche as that sounds. But like I just love walking around the city. I love Brooklyn. I love Queens. And also, I mean, the stores out there and the food out there is just incredible. It's nothing like you can get down here.
Yeah, that's so good. Who's your favorite like Mets player? I mean, are you an actual Mets fan?
Oh,
I know like you collect vintage stuff. So
yeah.
And when you collect stuff, it's kind of like you end up having awkward conversations where it's like, "Oh, are you a Rockets fan?" You're like, "Oh, no, I just like I really love the colorway, or I love
like the
way,
logo."
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I am 100% a Mets fan. It's extremely
Okay.
hard to be a Mets fan, but my favorite player is Brandon Nimmo. He was drafted, I want to say he was the first Mets draft pick in 2011, and I've watched him through the minor leagues since then, and I went to his major league debut in Atlanta. So yeah, it's been fun watching him and kind of falling in love with the Mets organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to so you've actually been to, I mean, you had
Yeah.
to have. You visited New York, you've been to a Mets game.
Yeah, I've been to Citi Field, and yeah.
What's the atmosphere like? Like, do you guys hate Yankees fans and it's pretty clear and all that kind of stuff?
So
like, is it fun? Is it kind of people are cold because it's New York?
So I think like the cats in New York that are like that, Mets season ticket holders, I think there is somewhat of a hate for Yankees fans, kind of like everyone hates Red Sox fans. But
Right.
Down here, I mean, I have friends that are Yankees fans, and I'm just like, you should be a Mets fan, but I can't transfer you, so you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you're probably, I think I've seen you. You're a UConn fan too, because you have okay.
So my mom went to UConn, so
Okay.
yeah,
that makes sense. What are your other teams?
San Diego State and South Carolina, pretty much. South Carolina being my first choice college right now.
Oh, right. I think I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, they have a retail management program there that like allows an out-of-state kid to get in-state tuition.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's definitely like a perfect thing. It's like retail management with entrepreneurship and fashion merchandising. Dude. So it's like exactly what I want to do with my life. So it's perfect.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. Like fashion and streetwear is a kind of a huge part of your life. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. You're right.
So you are like, well, were you 17 or 18 when you did your internship with Mr. Throwback in New York?
So I was 16. So I did it in this January, so January of 19. And it kind of all started summer of 18. I was up visiting family in Connecticut, and we were kind of just sitting around the house. So I was like, can we take the train into New York City and, just spend the day there? And we went in, took the train, had lunch, and we walked to Mr. Throwback, I think from Katz's Deli. That sounds right. And I pretty much walked in. I was wearing a Mets hat, and Mike, the owner, Mr. Throwback, kind of like immediately called me out for the hat. So we started talking about, vintage snapbacks and sports and stuff. Realized we're in the same vintage snapback group. We have a lot of the same friends. And we just kind of started talking about business. And at one point it came up in conversation that I need an internship for my school, 2 weeks like unpaid internship. And he said that he would be happy to have me on the team for 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, so what do you kind of want to do? Do you want to open up your store? Do you just want to be a part of something great kind of thing? Or,
So
what are you thinking?
my dream would definitely be open up my own store, whether I do that with Mike or anyone else. But I mean, my dream is definitely to have my own store, sneakers, vintage, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's the hardest part for me is like, I want to have a store at some point too. And, I don't know a lot about shoes.
Hmm.
Like I have no idea what things are worth. I have no idea how to evaluate if it's a fake or a real, especially Jordan's a big one. I mean, Jordan and Yeezys are like two of the biggest ones they get faked by, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So like being able to tell that and then knowing how much I can buy something for and flip it, like I feel like I'm going to eventually need a partner for that.
yeah, for sure.
you know.
I'm definitely learning about the whole legit check thing. There's definitely like some things that I'm still learning, but I mean, for the most part, I kind of have a good sense of if it's real or fake just based on feel, smell, that kind of stuff. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's nuts.
yeah,
It's so funny though, dude, because it's like that with clothes too. Like you can tell like stitching, you can tell by tags, you can tell by like if there's a year on it. There's just little things that most people who just don't know. Like you do have to do that through experience or
yeah,
asking somebody like, hey, what are some tips? And so like, hey, look for this tag, or you send a picture to a friend and say, hey, is this vintage?
exactly.
Like, and they're like, oh no, that's clearly not, or
Yeah,
it
that's
smells
screen
off.
printed tag. Like, what you mean? Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. If it's ever screen printed, you're like, all right, no, that's fine. That's not.
yeah,
Man, that's so interesting. It's like when you get passionate of something, you start to look at like the smallest of details.
yeah.
Like that's where you start to mold your craft.
It's crazy. I never thought that. Like, I think I was 14 when I started doing all this,
Mm-hmm.
so I never really thought that it would. It started as like my dad giving me some of his old hats. Then it turned into me like going to thrift stores looking for hats like that. And then I was like, I think I kind of want to start an eBay store. So I started
Mm-hmm.
thrifting out of passion. And then I found stuff that, hey, this might have value. It doesn't fit me. And then it's just kind of turned into I try to hit the thrifts at least once or twice a week and just try to build up inventory and sell it through Instagram, actually a lot through Snapchat because a lot of my friends at school, I'm like the vintage plug there. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, did you ever have like because I mean it sounds like you're gonna just be going for the store or just at least get into the streetwear industry and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like um what what kind of challenges have you faced so far, like along the way? Because I mean it sounds like that's kind of what your number one focus is at this point. So what kind of things have you struggled with, learned, or that you didn't know before going into the industry?
So I didn't know how big the industry actually was when I first started going in. So like when I started making connections when I joined WWVSC, I just realized how worldwide even something like a snapback could be. So and I never realized like I always knew like the rap tees and the rock tees because when I was a lot younger, I watched like the Round Two series. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew all of, that kind of stuff had value. But I had no idea that, like how much potential profit could be made from a $1 t-shirt. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then and probably my biggest struggle so far has been with trying to source items for my store. It's like all ACC and SEC college items. So I mean I've had to build connections all across the country just trying to source over 100 items with a certain price point and all that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's been really cool, but at the same time it's just like it's been really stressful, trying to create bulk deals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're good, you'll overcome it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think I have overcome it pretty much. I mean, we launched the site. It has I think 115 items on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, they've been selling out. They've been, I've been selling stuff locally through the site, all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
happy with it.
that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
What other than that stuff? What do you spend most of your time on? I know you play sports, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a two-sport varsity athlete in high school. I play football and baseball, and that pretty much football takes up pretty much most of my life. Pretty much every day from after school 3:30 to 6:30 I'm on the football field. So
Mm-hmm.
it's extremely fun, but it's so time consuming.
For sure. And then it's like once you get to college, it'll be different, but
Yeah,
there's some people who are able to do what what we do in college, which I already know
Mm-hmm.
people who do it. So, and then especially if you just play like intramurals or whatever, it's
Yeah.
like it's like, all right, I'm going to either get an easier major or I'm going to be able to just structure my class. So that way I have X amount of time or the schedule set out just for my vintage stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get to figure out how to get a house so you can have more space to hold on your inventory.
Yeah, that's exactly. So definitely, as soon as I'm not a freshman anymore, I'm gonna try to find some sort of apartment to share with someone or whatever, so I can have more room, places to take better pictures. So I don't have to worry about certain things like that. And I mean, sports wise, I don't know. I might see if I can try to walk on whatever baseball team
you play baseball?
College. Yeah. So my original sport is baseball. I think I've been playing since I was 7, maybe even a little bit younger. But then football has kind of just become kind of the biggest currently, just because it's fall. And at my school, football is a much more important thing, at least since my freshman year.
Yeah. What's your favorite memory from football or baseball?
Football wise, I would say my freshman year, we went undefeated and went to the state championship. Whoa. That was a crazy experience because no team at my school had ever had a winning season except for the first season.
Whoa.
Yeah. So as a freshman to win the region championship, actually get varsity reps, and then go on to play in the state championship. We lost in double overtime, but it was against the actual best team in the state. We were the first team that's in 2 seasons to actually put up points against them. And up until I think last night, they've been undefeated ever since. So,
whoa.
Yeah. That was crazy. And then baseball, I would say probably through school last year was definitely it was one of our first deep playoff runs. So that was really fun. But then way before that, when I played rec ball and all-star ball, we had a tournament in Pensacola for 2 years. And it was just such a fun experience to go down there and play a little baseball and then get to go to the beach. Because, where I am in Georgia, I'm 4 or 5 hours from Savannah. And that's not the greatest beach area. So it's to go down to Pensacola and get to play baseball, do something I love, beat up on some teams, and then go chill on the beach for the rest of the day. That's just something so fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the opposite because I grew up in Florida, and so I was in the beach. I was 10, 15 minutes from the beach.
Yeah,
and the pool. So it's where I'm at all the time. So I became a huge either country or city person.
I 100% get that, and I'm a huge city person, as you know. I mean,
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so being out where I am in Georgia, there's no high-rise buildings or anything. It's just a lot of trees, there's some rivers, but we're about maybe 15 minutes from the highway, so you can get into major cities pretty easily. So that's been a blessing for me because I mean, college-wise, I want to go to a state a school with a big city campus. So because that's just where I feel comfortable. So Georgia State, South Carolina, and if I can play my cards right, NYU are kind of the.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Would you ever, go to is Buffalo in Buffalo, New York, or is Buffalo, for whatever reason, I thought Buffalo was in Chicago.
I think Buffalo.
I think it's just Buffalo.
Yeah, I think it's in Buffalo, New York.
Would you go there or what's it called? Oh gosh, never mind. But state schools in New York, other than that.
So I've kind of looked at St. John's, but for the most part, I think my dad has said, yeah, no, you're not going to St. John's. I think that if we're gonna do whole college thing, stay in state or stay in the Southeast, unless it's unless you get into NYU. So yeah, but I mean, I've definitely looked at it. I've gotten letters and stuff from them. So yeah.
So do you have a big family?
I'm actually an only child. We have more dogs than I do siblings.
Man.
Yeah.
Do you love animals, or you just kind of it's just not my choice? I just kind of deal with it.
I love animals. My whole life I've either had cats or dogs. So, and all of my animals have been fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you want to end up in New York?
Eventually either New York or Chicago, I think would be the overall goal if I can. And that's the whole thing with Mr. Throwback and trying to maybe open another store with him, kind of franchise. Maybe
Yeah.
we can find a Chicago location and do it there.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of like stores out there like Rad and Boneyard and now Round 2. But I mean, like, Mr. Throwback is kind of a worldwide known name, so maybe he'd have some success there.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I actually went to Rad in Chicago, I think a month or two ago, and then I went this past weekend to
cool.
Rad OTR in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's cool. So they franchised out?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Just kind of like two dudes that are like our age, kind of just, you're like, oh, wow, they're just, it's not like a 40-year-old, that's like, it's different. I mean, Throwback's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how old he is, but it's like these guys were like, it seemed like they're just like 23, but kind of just doing their own thing in downtown Cincy. It was kind of cool.
I think Mike turned mid-30s on Tuesday, I want to say. Maybe Wednesday. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so he was like 35, 36, 37, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, just like the amount of change you go through in your time period right now, because you said you're 19, right?
I'm 17 still. So
you're 17?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that again. So are you junior or senior?
I'm a senior. So I'm on the lower end of my class, but I'm still not the youngest. Because there's kids that have like summer birthdays that are in my class.
Yeah. There's so much change. You go from like when you first turn 18, because then it's like I can vote now. I can smoke if you're into that. Like there's just so much different stuff that goes through 17 to 18, and then like your first year in college. Then when you turn 21, then when it's like your first year out of college, and you're gonna probably end up being a doctor.
Exactly.
Sort of like, and then second year, like, all right, now I'm gonna be like a cartoon artist. It's just something you never know.
And I have friends that are like that. They're kind of just like, I really don't know what I'm gonna do, and they're applying for colleges, and they're like, there's 15 different majors that I kind of want to do, and so it's kind of like weird for me because I've always been business focused. So I was like, I'm definitely gonna get some sort of business major when I'm in college. So I've kind of only focused on that.
Right.
So I mean, because I'm not artistic, like I'm not like I haven't tried to branch out too far past certain graphic design and photography. So
I mean, that's good. You kind of know your limits, or just kind of pouring into your like, all right, if I'm analytical, I got to like know as much about numbers as I can, or
exactly
just about pouring into your strength and just be aware, all right, this is my weakness, whatever it is, you know, and then you end up hiring that person eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
So what has been your experience with mental health, if at all, or at least if not personally, just with people
So myself, I've been pretty mentally healthy. I have friends that are, going through depression right now. They've had friends who have actually committed suicide, and it's been a huge part of their life. And them being my friends, been a huge part of my life. So, I mean, it's definitely a tough subject. And I mean, it definitely is. It hurts a lot of my friends. And I mean, some of my best friends that, at school, they're fine, but then just, they get home and then they're a completely different person. It's crazy.
Did you know those people?
I think I knew one of them just based on the fact that like my friend used to date one of them, and then they became friends after, and then a whole lot of crap went down. But yeah.
What was like the reaction, or did like the amount of what did you notice about people that deal with something like that?
I honestly, a lot of my friends that do deal with it, they're not as social, especially when, I've known them for so long. I've known them as extremely sociable people. Then they just kind of start slowly fading into the, not going to games and, not coming to parties, that kind of stuff. But I mean, a lot of my friends, for the most part, they're mentally, for the most part, they're there, but they might not be mentally there. So,
yeah, it just depends.
Yeah.
What are you doing for people that are struggling with something like depression or anxiety? Like, how do you reach out?
I mean, I'm always there to be a helping hand, do whatever I can. I mean, whatever they want for me to do, I'm just always willing to do it no matter what, especially for my friends.
Very loyal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Do you more do like, all right, I'm going to go buy them lunch, or just do you spend time with them? Are you texting? Like, what do you think works best for you?
Honestly, it really depends on the friend. I mean, I've gone out to lunch with some of them. I've brought them food. I've just hung out with
Hmm.
them, or I was just like always someone they could just text their problems to if they needed to, vent about something or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think the state of mental health or the stigma is at? Where do you think we are as a society or even just America?
I think that for the most part, especially for kids my age, mental health is a huge issue because honestly, school is just extremely stressful. I understand life will get a lot more stressful after that, but I mean, for 16, 17 year, 18-year-old kid, like
Hmm.
the amount of workload of maybe trying to balance a job, sports, and school,
Right.
just like trying to maintain grades so you can get into college, and then trying to get into college, like it's just such a stressful and crazy period of our lives currently that just it takes a toll for sure.
Yeah. What do you think would be like the solution? What is the best thing that people who don't struggle with depression or anxiety, like what do you think is your number one advice to them?
Honestly, I just try to surround myself with the people that I know will actually, be able to cheer me up when I'm down or be able to help me if I do end up becoming anxious or depressed. Like
Hmm.
just trying to surround myself with the best people possible so that, I'm not putting myself in situations that will, hurt me later.
Right.
Probably
Yeah.
my biggest advice. And that's definitely
Assess your
with my
circle.
friends. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, I've had to change up friends and stuff that have, started to send me downhill that kind of just said, I can't really deal with that right now. So,
Yeah. How did you deal with that? Because sometimes people, just like in romantic relationships, they'll just stay
mhm.
in it just because it's like that's all they know, or I think that's all they deserve. Right.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of hard, especially with the friends. A lot of them
Hmm.
were people that I've known for almost my entire life. So it's kind of hard to say, hey, I don't think that, at least as of right now, we can be friends anymore. It was hard
Mm.
because, kids that have been friends with my entire life, it hurt. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's bettering me and it might better them because I might be a bad
Yeah.
influence on them. I just don't know it. Like,
Right. And you may not have a necessarily detailed answer about this, but if I'm not into sports, say, what would you recommend to make friends? You think? Because I'm sure you've made a lot of friends through sports,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I've definitely made friends through sports. That's probably been the biggest one. If you're not into sports, I would honestly say, I think school. I know how hard it is to make friends at school, but I would say that there's always going to be a group of people, whether they're your age or not, that are into the same stuff as you at school, like outside of sports, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
music, dance, artistic talents. Like, there's always going to be people that even though they might be the outcast of their grade and you might be the outcast of your grade or your class or whatever, there's always going to be someone for you, in my opinion. And that's kind of what I've seen with some of my friends. And like a lot of my like younger friends are friends with me because I'm exactly like them. And they're like, we want to like better ourselves like you do. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always default to like clubs.
mhm.
Clubs. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
into sports. Like I've always done intramurals at college, so it's been different. But clubs have been really helpful for me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I mean, my school
Yeah.
is just now starting to offer clubs. So
How small is your school? Like, are you like two? Do you guys have 2A, 5A, all that
So
jazz?
yeah,
Like,
so we start at 1A private, which is like all the private Christian schools in the area pretty much.
mm-hmm.
And then it goes up to 7A, which is like our big
Holy
schools
moly.
like Roswell High School and like Milton High School, which are like the two big ones in our area. My school is 1A private, so we are as small as we can get. I think my
Yeah. Okay.
graduating class has 87 people in it.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's really tight knit. I mean, one thing gets said and everyone hears it. So
Yeah.
yeah. For the most part,
Which I mean,
everyone knows everybody at my school.
yeah, and it's either you get the good and the bad with that. My college was like that. I went to. I think we had how much did we have? Like 2,000 maybe,
Jeez,
or
yeah.
4,000, something like that. But it was just like if your reputation, good or bad, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that's going to be really weird for kids at my school who, especially me, because I've been at that school my entire life.
Mm,
So I've known that small environment. And I'm not exactly as stressed as other people, but I'm still a little bit worried about like college,
right.
thousands and thousands of kids, me, went to a school with maybe
Mhm.
500 in the high school. So it's going to be a huge change that, I am definitely stressed about. But at the same time, most of the college choices that I have, I'll have friends going there. So,
Yeah, I'm not too worried about you just because you're an extrovert, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And plus, you're just going to become the vintage plug in Carolina, dude.
You know what?
Out in San
That's the
Diego.
goal. That is definitely the goal.
Next thing you know, you're like, hey, dude, let me just do throwback SC.
You know, if I could stay in Columbia and get the crowd for like a store there,
Mm-hmm.
I would 100% do it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's nothing like that over there. There's some thrifts over there.
There you go, dude.
Part. I mean, it's untapped over there.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what they did with round 2 in VA, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's crazy to see how big that store has become. I mean, starting from like a little shoebox on like Broadway, and then turning into a national thing, like nationally known, worldwide.
Yeah.
One. I mean, it's crazy to see.
Dude, it's so nuts. Imagine having a pop up in like Japan or wherever it was, and then you have like still a line out of the door.
It is insane to think that, especially like when they went to Europe and stuff. Like it was.
Yep.
And so at the time when all that was happening, my friend Frankie used to work there. So I kind of got to experience all that secondhand before the show came out. So I knew what was going on before it ever actually happened. So that was a really cool thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so cool. What do you have like a motto or catchphrase, piece of advice that you've gotten recently that you think's either helped you professionally or personally?
Honestly, I think I would say stay focused. That's 100% probably been my biggest thing. Because in sports, at practice, stay focused. Make sure you know your assignments as a lineman. In school, stay focused, stay in your studies, and then stay focused with my business. Make sure you and start buying random items or underpricing stuff, and make sure that you're doing all the right things. So I definitely say stay focused is my biggest probably thing circling around my head right now.
How do you think you've done that?
I don't know. I think definitely. I mean, changing my mindset for when like school ends, switching my brain to hey, now it's time to get focused for football, and then after football, stay focused on homework, and then after that, if I have time, focus on listing. Just kind of my passion has driven me to be able to do that. But for the most part, I think it's just having people kind of tell me to change my mindset for each one of those things.
Yeah, that's good. Mindset's everything. It's the power of the mind. I mean, the person who believes they can and the person who believes they can't are both right.
Exactly.
I love that. All right, I've got 5 quick hit questions for you, and then we're gonna wrap up. Right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Do you believe in aliens or ghosts?
I believe in aliens. I do not believe in ghosts.
Okay. Do you think like they're super intelligent or like just as intelligent as ours or kind of dumb? Like what are your thoughts?
I think that based on that's a great question because I mean I feel like there's different intelligence levels outside of the world if there are aliens that like we can understand and then like either above us or below us, you know what I mean? So they might be extremely intelligent for whatever world they live in, but for us, they might not know basic addition, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that it's definitely like a toss up on that one.
Talk about a embarrassing moment.
Ooh, quite a few. I have to think of them though. I could definitely say the most recent was, say it was last Friday. We were like breaking out of the banner for football before the game, and I fell.
Oh yeah,
I fell. I was in the front, and I just face planted. That was definitely not fun, and I think that's definitely one of the bigger ones. One of them, I think that my parents still joke about it. I was in 7th grade. I was playing baseball, and I hit a triple, or I hit a double, and I am horrifically slow. I mean, I look like I'm 1,000 years old running the bases. So I tried to stretch a real triple into a triple, and I tried to slide into third. Have you ever seen Major League where what's his name? His name's not coming to me. Willie Mays Hayes tries to slide into second, and he just stops like 10 feet short. It was just like that. I stopped 10 feet short. As soon as I hit the dirt, I just stopped. And I just kind of sat there. I had no idea what to do. Got tagged out. It was hilarious. But I mean, at the same time, I was just like, I don't know how to react to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The game that no one can beat you at, board game or video game.
Let's see. At one point, I was extremely good at MLB The Show and NCAA. But
basketball or football?
Yeah. I was so good at that game. And then at one point, I just kind of, as soon as like the new console started coming out past PS3, I just was like, do I want to spend the money on a PS4? And then I didn't. And then all my friends started getting better at the games. And now I do not hold a candle against any of them.
What's your dream place to live? You can live anywhere in the world.
Honestly, I would definitely say New York City. I mean, I love the atmosphere. I love the culture of their music, their food. And
would you want to be in Queens?
I would probably want to be in Brooklyn just because I just love that kind of, especially like hip hop wise. My favorite rappers are from Brooklyn. And I mean, just the culture there is really cool. The foods there is really, really cool. And I mean, of course, it's just a train ride. It's just like, a subway ride away from Manhattan and Queens.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've always liked Brooklyn. I mean, just kind of the idea of it.
It's a cool vibe.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of yourself?
I honestly love that I have passion for things, that outside of school or sports. I think that's been really cool for me. That's my favorite part. Just like that, I can get deeply obsessed into something like hats and stuff. And then it turns into, I had a week. And then of course, then it kind of gets, a little, that's not that good. But for the most part, I'd say my passion for whatever I'm into is definitely been my favorite part.
Yeah, that's good. All right, this is the last part. So what we're going to do, you're going to pick a person. Okay. And it doesn't matter, family, friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you have to let them know how much they mean to you, how they've inspired you, however you want to take it. But it's kind of like a positive affirmation for that person.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you're going to kind of tell them you did that. And so they have to listen to this part. They don't have to listen to the whole podcast, but just this part.
Just the last 39 to, 41. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to write it down just so I don't forget.
Yeah. Writing stuff down. Yeah, for me, writing stuff down always helps. It's like, yeah.
That's a new skill that I've had to learn. I used to, never take notes, and that's just come back to bite me. So
you got to get one of those tiny little notepads you whip out of your front pocket.
Exactly, and I have those, and then I always start maybe the first 2 weeks, and then I end up not keeping it in my pocket. I keep it in my backpack. Then it gets pushed to the bottom of my backpack.
Yeah,
it starts getting ripped up. Then I forget about it, and then I'm like, oh, I had an agenda that I should have been filling out. That's awkward. But for the most part, I'm getting better at it because I realized, especially with school, I kind of need to start taking better notes because, when you're failing quizzes and tests because you don't take good enough notes, it actually starts to matter now. So it's like a wake-up call.
But also, I mean, it's going to help you in your vintage stuff, taking notes and then being meticulous in finances.
100%.
It's going to be key.
Yeah, and that's something definitely my dad has helped me learn. And he's the huge businessman side of the family. So he's owned a couple of his own websites. He's sold a couple websites. He's been an entrepreneur just like me for his entire life. So he's definitely been that influence on me, and he's helped me through a lot of the business kinks.
That's good. Who are you choosing?
I'm choosing my friend Jason. He's one of my best friends, and either Jason or his brother Tyler. Tyler's a freshman, Jason's a sophomore. Both of them are kind of go through a lot of anxiety and stuff like that. So I talk to them every day, but just to give them a little extra positive reinforcement definitely does not hurt.
That's good.
Yeah.
Why don't you let me know how that goes?
Yeah, for sure. I will.
And I think it's just important to always be quick to love, and I don't know. Sometimes a little goes a long way,
Yeah.
So, but dude, I thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. I've been excited all week for it. So
thank you, man. Yeah. Obviously we'll stay in touch. We always love shooting the breeze and stuff. I'm gonna actually look through my inventory, see if I got any ACC or SEC stuff. I'm always looking for Florida stuff myself,
for sure. Thank you. Yeah, I bought that Ole Miss tee from you, and
oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
That's good. All right, man. Well, you gonna be garage sailing or thrifting this weekend?
I might thrift a little bit, actually. I have tutoring a little bit later in the day. Then I have some friends coming over. So, I mean, pretty much from, I think, around 12 to, I think, 2, I'm open. So, I think I'll probably thrift today.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, enjoy the rest of your day, all right?
Awesome. Thank you. You too, man.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from the Classic Buffalo Podcast. Wanted to take a second to talk about Anchor, how I'm actually making this podcast happen. Super happy that I'm partnering with them. So, Anchor is actually the easiest way to make a podcast. I've done my research. This is basically the best way. I promise. It's going to give you everything you need in one place for free, which is the best part. It's going to have tools, so you don't really need a fancy schmancy recording guy. Anchor's going to be helping you out there, and then they're going to distribute the podcast everywhere to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everything. And then you can also make money with basically no minimum listenership, which is kind of rare. So hop on Anchor as soon as you can. Thanks. So we just got done hanging out with Brett, and man, it's so interesting to talk with somebody, especially when they're the youngest person we've ever interviewed, talk with somebody who's still in high school. I'm not sure if we want to keep going that young. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's just, I don't know. It was kind of cool to talk with them just because I haven't really talked with somebody in high school in a while. I've mostly been interacting with college kids or, just being 26. Most of my friends are maybe still in college, but most of them have just gotten out or are in the workforce. So it's still cool to see somebody who's just like going for their passion. Get an internship at 16 for like something that you really want to do. Man, that was so cool. Like you basically just walked into an establishment and be like, all right, I want to work here. Like that's so cool. I'm happy for him because I know he really is passionate about retail and vintage and streetwear, and I can see him definitely working either at his own place or starting out working for somebody else and just getting that experience. But he's got that passion. You just heard it. Like he wants to be in the vintage community. He sees the impact of it worldwide, and he wants to go for his dream, and for that to happen, he has to stay focused, which is the, episode title. Because if you really want something, you have to stay focused. If you have a 9 to 5, you have to focus the 5 to 12 or 5 to 11 every day to go for that dream. You have to get meticulous in certain areas, whether it's finances or learning new skills, if you plan to use them, especially like early on in your dream, you have to learn probably more skills. So I'm guessing just because, especially if you're going to go into like entrepreneurship, you're not necessarily going to have the capital to hire somebody who might be able to do it better than you. So you kind of have to dabble yourself in a little bit of areas, but at the same time, maintaining that niche of where your business is going to be successful, right? So it's cool to see somebody who's early on in the process, but still passionate and has a goal. Like I could totally see him becoming a vintage guy in South Carolina. That'd be so cool. But I also can empathize, or what's the right word? I can relate to the sports friends, like being such a big part of your life. And for me, when I left, I lost a bunch of my friends because you have that one common bond. And unfortunately, it turns out they really weren't my friends because it's like, football bond is together. But it's still cool to see how sports can bring people together, and they can also tear people apart. But for the most part, especially for me, sports I've grown up having sports be such a big part of my life, and I thought I was going to be on Sports Center, and I thought I was going to, be so heavily involved in sports. And I got to college, and it was a slow burn where I kind of realized that's not what I want to do. I did one internship here. Nope, I didn't want to do that. It's probably going to be the next one. All right, do the next internship. Oh, shoot, I'm a junior, and I don't like this. And so I just graduated to graduate. And I think in college I started to get more passionate about music and passionate about marketing and the social justice aspect, and that's what eventually led me to do this. So it all worked out, at least in my opinion, and I did all the marketing and psychology research in my off time when I wasn't doing my, college stuff, which that's where you can stay focused, where if you're doing something you don't like, whether you're a 9-to-5 job or you're in college and maybe not doing something the majority of time, I'm going to guess some people either have the wrong majors or the right majors, which statistically, logically, that makes sense. But if you're doing something for the majority of the time, and in college I don't want to be writing these papers or doing group projects, you can at least dedicate your time that you're not doing it to how do I get out of it? How can I make college the best use of my time? How can I network? How can I do X, Y, Z? Start a side hustle in college. And for him, in high school, which is awesome. He's a good kid. He really is. And I wish him all the best. I wish that he would be successful quickly, just as I would anyone else. Wish them success. But and he's bought a couple things for me, so I love him especially. But no, it was cool talking with him, and we kind of did something different where he's just going to reach out on his own and he'll let me know. So I'll probably maybe do an update in the next couple episodes of what happens with that. But normally we're just going to have people talk on the podcast unless they're uncomfortable with it, kind of shout them out on the pod. So doing something a little different. We'll see how it goes. And then I'll let you know how it goes. But let's see. What else is going on for me? I think I may or may not have mentioned on the last podcast, but I went to Cincinnati this past weekend, and that was kind of fun. And I think I already talked about that. We'll skip that. My birthday was this past week, and it was kind of hard because a lot of my friends had to cancel. So that was kind of hard because it's like, for your birthday, you have this envision of I'm in my 20s, we're going out, and I'm not a drinking kind of guy. But it was kind of just sad to be it is my birthday, and people had to cancel, which all of them had good reasons. Shout out to you guys. You're still my friends. I'm not worried about that. It just kind of was somewhat of a sucky situation. But I still hung out with my dad, and we saw a movie. So, and then I got to thrift afterwards. So that was kind of cool. But now I'm 26, a year older. So much wiser, obviously. No. But that's what's happening. I'm debating right now if I'm going to go thrift, because thrifting at this point, I'm trying to figure out, do I grow my inventory to grow my store, or do I, because oh my gosh, thrifting and buying things, it's a coping mechanism. It really is. So it's a matter of perspective. One is I'm using a coping mechanism because I don't have things to do, and it's better than staying at home. Right? But at the same time, I'm buying things that makes me feel good. So, and I do something I love, right? It's like a dichotomy. My counselor said it one time, it's being human is acknowledging both the good and the bad in a situation. It is noticing both of your desires for both sides of the coin, right? So noticing that both you do and don't want to do something, right? So the good aspect would be, man, I love thrifting. I love traveling and seeing these things. The bad thing might be, well, why are you doing it, right? Are you doing it to grow your store? Or are you doing it just so you're going to feel good, get that buyer's high? I can't remember. There's probably a word for it. But, yeah, I'm always struggling with that. Kind of when I feel down, I go thrift. And knowing I could find something really cool, hopefully. And then that makes me feel good because I'll probably sell it and make money. And if I get money, or if I get more fame, or if I get more stuff, I get more followers, or I get more chances for that serotonin boost, the more likes. It's a vicious cycle. So anyway, that's what I'm debating on right now. It's like a Saturday when I'm recording this. See if I'll go thrift. I might. I'm trying to go down to Louisville at this point to meet Max, which I've seen him already twice. I love the guy. He runs his own store down there. He always buys some stuff, but it's always cool just to hang out. And then there's a person/couple that I want to interview for this podcast. So I want to do both of those. So I'm trying to figure out, when do I do that? I want to do them at the same time. So we'll see. But this has been me existing, recording, doing the best I can to pursue my dream, staying focused. Even though I kind of wasn't I'm kind of not focused sometimes when I do this, but I'm staying focused in doing the little things and pursuing this podcast and doing it for fun and just cranking them out. So I'm staying focused, Brett. I'm doing it for you, buddy. So until next time, it's been me, Ryan. I love you. I'm glad you're alive. And I hope you have a great day and rest of your week. Bye.